Hello, everyone. I'm Cameron Cisneros, your co-chair for the eXp Pride Network, and welcome to Empower Pride Panel, part of eXp Realty's Pride Month celebrations. As we continue to celebrate Pride Month, we are here to explore the impactful strategies, share experience, and foster an inclusive environment within our real estate industry. Today, leading our discussion is the Scott Wilson, an expert with a deep commitment to diversity and inclusion. Passing it to you, Scott.
Hey, Cameron, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today and all of our great panelists. To start off the show, how to kick this off, I'd love to start with a quick introduction of each of you. Just give your name, your marketplace, and your title. And Chuck, we'll start with you in the order of the screen. So go ahead and welcome everyone.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Chuck Wells. I reside in Oklahoma City, and I am the state chapter president for our LGBTQ Alliance, also a realtor and coach and speaker.
Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, I'm Cody Gilkison. I'm the Senior Manager of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at eXp Realty, and I'm in Danville, Illinois.
And Carrie, start off, please. Oh, your mic.
Corey,
your mic.
thank you. Hi, I'm Corey Tabor in Phoenix, Arizona. Super hot. And I am a realtor as well as the secretary for the Arizona chapter of the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance.
Very nice. And most important, our great leader, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us.
Not most important, but most excited to be here with you guys. Thank you so much. I'm Jessica Nieto with eXp Realty. I am a licensed realtor or actually associate broker in California, Washington, Oregon. I am the team leader of the Nieto Connect team. I'm a member of the Real Estate Alliance. Really enjoyed being a part of that, and the chair of One EXP here at eXp Realty.
Amazing. I want to thank all of you for being here today. So let's dive right in. Jessica, let's start with you. Let me ask you a quick question. What does empowering pride mean to you in the context of the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. You know, empowering pride for me, I think empowerment has such a different context for so many. Sometimes it can feel, for me, it has a positive connotation, but I've also heard from others that empowerment can sometimes not feel as positive, which I thought was interesting. I just heard this recently. And so I think it's important that, you know, during these months where we're celebrating and sort of learning and unlearning so many things, it's really important that I like to refer to myself as an old gay, which I know I'm not considered maybe by all, but I find myself in this month really trying to focus on learning something new about my community. So not so much focus just on me, myself, and what it means to me, but really understanding what can I unlearn and learn so I can be a better ally for the LGBTQ plus community. And I think, you know, it really signifies self-acceptance as well. You know, what are the situations where I might feel a little bit of resistance being me or all of me or more of me than I normally am, and just really focusing on that. So, you know, every Pride, I sort of have the little bit of anticipation, a little bit of anxiety about what we might face, what kind of hard conversations we might have to have, what kind of comments, you know, like we're seeing on the NAR posts, you know, what kind of commentary is going to come through. And then I realize how many people are faced with that every single day, how privileged I am. You know, I am a white female, and I can literally cruise through most of my day without facing too much hate. And I don't take that for granted. So during the month of Pride, empowering Pride for me is really about how can I be a strong, active ally for my community.
Oh, that's really nice. And could you share a specific marketing campaign or strategy that you use that successfully engaged the LGBTQ plus community, you know, home buyer, renters, and how do you make it effective? How do you get through that?
Yeah, really great question. I think the most important thing is it's not about making it specific necessarily in my marketing to one specific audience or type of human being. It's really about making sure that it's inclusive of everyone, so that everyone feels welcome. And some of the things that we can do is just quite literally, you know, if you're an ally like myself, you can put in your pronouns. Even just that says, hey, I'm a safe place. In your signature title or your marketing, quite literally putting that you're an ally. You could get certified through the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance and become a certified ally. I think that's really strong. In terms of marketing campaigns, I participate with the Alliance. They have a great website. I believe we could probably put that link somewhere, or Chuck might be able to recite the actual link. I don't have it handy, but I believe it's LGBTQ plus homes. Does anyone know? We'll try to grab the link, but it's a really great place where you can advertise, that you're supportive and inclusive of all communities. So I'm not specifically doing any campaigns right now. I think Corey's actually going to have some really great shares on this specific question. I'll just say that I am as inclusive, and I do an audit of my team's marketing to make sure that, that it really, it shows people that we're here to help anyone with their homeownership goals.
Amazing. Corey, you got anything you'd like to add to that?
Certainly I can. I have found that most realtors love to work referrals. It's a great way to have a warm connection to somebody that's going to want to work with you, perhaps, because you've got this glowing referral, right? And so I found that partnering with my network within the Alliance has been especially helpful to our community. I focus on queer migration because I work in Arizona and Oklahoma, and these are states that people want to move into and want to move out of for a variety of reasons, right? And so our job really is just to facilitate that and make it easy. And one of the ways that I've made that super easy for them is networking with other agents that are going to be able to understand their concerns and meet their needs.
Amazing. Great. Hey, Chuck, question for you now. Have you ever personally experienced or witnessed discrimination in the real estate industry? And basically, how did you address it? And what strategies do you recommend for combating such issues when they arise?
Well, that is a great question. And I really, over the past few days leading up to this conversation today, I really soul searched and attempted to identify a time when I witnessed the discrimination, whether that was to me or clients that I had. And I have to say, I definitely feel privileged that I have not personally in a real estate transaction. However, what I am witnessing today in this moment in time is there's definitely a divide within our industry, just as there is a divide in a lot of our nation, across the nation. And so even though we are Realtor members, we're not all abiding and living up to our code of ethics. And so I am seeing more and more voices that oppose us, and more voices that are saying, what is this DE&I crap? Why do we need this? We're okay before. Why throw it in our face now? And so there's a lot of resistance to the conversations that we're having. And the way forward here is to find your community, stay strong with your supporters, find those that you can rally with. And more than any time, it's time to know the processes of holding one another accountable within our realtor community. Know how to file those fair housing complaints. A lot of our realtors get confused just in the simple, like, what does the real estate commission govern? What does our association on the local and state level govern? Who gets what complaint, et cetera. And first and foremost, with the fair housing, that has to be filed through HUD. So I am taking the responsibility, one, keeping my eyes and ears open, two, educating my peers on how to not just, ignore it or take it, but yet be that step in making a difference.
It's so unfortunate that's where we're at today, but we do have to stand up to make it a better place. Hey, Cody, I'm sure you've got something on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I do actually. I haven't talked much about this, but as a home buyer, I've never been a realtor, but as a home buyer, I experienced a little bit of housing discrimination when I was trying to purchase a home where my husband and I used to live in Syracuse, New York. We went with a realtor that we really trusted, and we told her what we were looking for, and we noticed about a month into the process that there were some homes that really ticked all of our boxes that she wasn't showing us. And then it turned out to be a little bit of unconscious bias on her part, because she was specifically not recommending houses to me in a Black neighborhood because she thought it wouldn't be safe for me as a gay married couple, as a white gay married couple. We ended up buying that house actually, but just thought I would throw that in there for a little bit of color context. That's a little bit of discrimination. I don't think she even realized she was being discriminatory in that practice. I think she thought she was protecting us, but something that we have to be conscious of, right?
Yeah, that's a great story too. And actually, let's stick with you. Can you provide an example of a project or initiative that you've been involved in that successfully fostered a supportive and inclusive community for LGBTQ plus individuals?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm pretty freshly, we had an organization reach out to us, a political organization here in my little hometown of Danville, where I live now, who said, look, we know we've got a lot of gay folks here, but we don't see them anywhere. We don't know what's going on with our community. They need a resource. And we have an existing something called a Pride Coalition here for our county, but they put on Pride every year and then disappear into the woodwork. So our community really needed somebody to step up and say, it's okay for us to come out here. We can feel safe together, and here's some resources. So we founded a nonprofit here called LGBTQ Plus of Danville, Illinois. And we've done a lot of work with canvassing and doing surveying to figure out what it is that our community needs to feel safe. And in the first week of that survey, almost 90% of our responses were, despite being in Illinois, a pretty progressive state, here in the city that I live in, 80% of respondents said that they didn't feel safe being openly queer in public, and felt that they would be attacked if they wore a garment or article of clothing that labeled them outwardly as being queer. So that immediately said to me, we got to give these people spaces to feel safe. So we started having, or we're getting ready, we're building out the programming now to start doing some virtual events with them so that we can get to know each other a little better. And one of the things we started doing was doing spotlight posts. So what we did was we found somebody that's queer in the community that we thought everybody should know this person, right? And I just did a little quick interview with them, write a 2-paragraph bio of them, make a nice graphic, put it up on socials. And slowly but surely, the community is getting to know each other, which is such a big step for a community where everybody feels like they can only safely be queer in the confines of their own home, right?
Hey, well, congratulations on that. You and your husband starting this off and creating an amazing platform for a community that didn't have anything. And just judging from what you're telling me, it sounds so that you need this and they need this too. So really good job there. Corey, I got a question. So congratulations. Corey, question for you. What challenge have you faced regarding legal protections for LGBTQ in housing, and how have you worked to overcome them and advocate for change?
So I think that it should go without saying, but everybody should take note whenever your municipality does not have any kind of codified laws for LGBTQ protections, you're going to lose potential residents. And so that's something that many of my clients ask about. And especially whenever we're talking about people that are migrating from one state to another, they're not necessarily going to be familiar with the community, but the Municipality Equality Index is a great indicator of how safe a community may or may not be. And certainly one of the ways that I've attempted to bring about change regarding that statistic and concern for it from these municipalities is by joining the board of directors of the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce. Because just like the Alliance, the equality chambers and the LGBT chambers around the country advocate for our strength and our protections being legally codified. So this comes up every time I have to move a client in or out of Arizona. They want to know how safe a community might be. And I think the best thing that we can do is go directly to these municipalities and help them to understand how important it is for their tax dollars and for their communities to know that we care and we matter in numbers great enough to concern themselves with.
every time you talk, I learn something. It's amazing. I love it. We gotta do more of these with you, Corey. Hey, Jessica, just obviously you're a leader on a lot of everything we do with the XP, just even in LGBTQ plus community and in real estate. So this question is more directly for you, so I can't wait to hear your answer. How has being an openly LGBTQ plus leader in real estate influenced your career? And in fact, what impact do you believe your visibility has on the broader community from the experience that you've had? You're muted.
I love this question for me because I have a little bit of a different story than most of my gay fam. I don't have a big coming out story. Grew up, my brother's also gay out of 4 of us. And he seemed to be more so growing up than me. I was, tomboy and played sports and stuff, but was always queer. And my parents didn't make a big deal out of it. I had aunts and uncles. My first big professional job, the CFO, my boss, was also out. So I feel like I've always just sort of had this path of, being accepted. Not everywhere. I've had experiences, definitely when I got into real estate, where, people would be surprised. And so what I learned quickly was that I feel it has been my responsibility and my responsibility to show up and be me immediately and make sure that people know upfront, that I'm happily married for 10 years now. So the easiest way for me is I'll mention my wife. My wife and I, we live in blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when people know who you are and that you're authentic and that you're confidently you, oftentimes they may accept you a little bit more than maybe they would accept another, finding out later. And I know that sounds kind of funky and it's not as easy for everyone, but I feel that for me, when I just get it out there, I know that this person is happy to be working with me, and we don't have to dance around and figure out later that it's not a good fit. So I think, to answer your question, the visibility really dismantles harmful stereotypes in my personal experience. And I know that we all don't have the privilege of that. So I feel that the more often that I am me and I am out as a leader in anything that I do, it hopefully will create a little bit more space for someone else to also be authentically them, and maybe just know that they can reach out to me as a friend or as a mentor with any questions that they have. I think also that, my visibility just encourages others to be more accepting and true to themselves, and to foster acceptance in our industry, because representation matters. So it inspires future leaders. And that's been my personal experience. So I'm hoping that it has that same, it's the same catalyst effect, right? And to answer your question was specifically about how it's changed me. I mean, professionally and personally, I can say that even though I've been out, I haven't always been authentically all of me out, meaning, my goofiness, just my talking about telling my story, all of those things. I think that's the deeper version of being gay and being out. It's like, oh, people know you're gay, but do they know who you are? And I think, queer or not, most everyone in this industry is having to even do the exercise to figure out what their value proposition is right now. So it's a question that we're all going through. And so I think, being queer and in real estate, that we actually can really lead this conversation. Like we've spent a lot of time, figuring out how to develop our value proposition in life, and so we can really lead this conversation. And I think mentoring is one of the biggest things that's changed and transformed my life and helped me grow as a person, is really when you understand the battles that other people are having internally, and you really see people, which is, by the way, the only steps to doing that are actually caring about people, right? Can't teach anyone how to do that. You care about people, and you reach out and you check on people. And that's part of my practice. It's part of my daily habits. It's what I do daily. Corey, I mean, some of you in this room know I call you, check on you, just met you, Chuck, but it quite literally is that. The people that you connect with, you should reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on in your world? What's going on? How can I support you? What's new? And the answers that you get when you reach out and you leave space for people to share is always quite surprising. It's never our perception. Our perception is reality. And so if our perception is that everyone is okay all the time, we're living in a bubble. So
Hey, I know when I came into real estate, Jessica, you made me feel really like I had support and everything. It made me feel real comfortable when you're pushing me to get more and more involved in this stuff. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but having you there, someone to talk to, really helped me decide to go on and do this stuff. So I thank you too. This is a great question, I believe. I think for everyone on the panel. Chuck, what do you think about that? What do you have?
I'm glad you asked, because I had unmuted myself and then I thought, oh, you might go on to a different question. Jessica, I love how you referenced where we're all currently. Because I too had found myself in a very much of a comfort bubble for many years. Prior to real estate, I was licensed in 2001. I'm aging myself here. And prior to that, I was actually in retail management, clothing retail. So where better to be, right? And so, but I had also found that even back in retail management, and then getting my real estate license and searching for that right brokerage, I was always very successful in finding the fit that supported me. And so what that actually did was it created very much of a comfort bubble. And fast forwarding to, a couple of years ago, I was in conversation with my partner, and we have a lot of diversity within our family. And I found myself really asking, how do I create a space that they're comfortable coming into and they're comfortable evolving in? Because, we stood on the shoulders of others before us that made it easier for us. So how do I make it easier for someone else? And when we mix that with business, the generation I grew up in, you blended. I mean, you were not looking for a demographic or an ideal client avatar. You blended so you'd have the most opportunity available, And in our business today, it's quite different. In coaching and training, we speak to who is your ideal client? Where are your people? Go for your people, find your people, And so all that being said is we are in a time, and leadership is not advocacy, and advocacy is not leadership. And what I've truly found in stepping into a role of leadership with the Alliance is there are going to be those that point fingers at you. There are going to be those that make comments. There are going to be those to ask you to soften your voice or quieten your voice. Let's blend. Do we really need to cause waves if the waves aren't necessary right now? What's this going to do to your image, your reputation that you have within our industry? Those are actually questions that have been presented to me in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And so, with that, you're at a crossroads at times of, am I okay being okay? Or do I really want to push to be better? And there's a fire in me right now, so I'm pushing to be better. That's my choice. But
I love that, Chuck.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to be everyone's response. There's so many volume levels of advocacy, and there's so many ways to be an advocate. And so everyone has to find what's right for them in that moment in time, that chapter of life they're in, the area they may live in. We all have different situations before us.
For sure, for sure. And Corey, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the same question.
Oh my gosh. So I am a super political human being, and I could not possibly agree more. I think that the one thing that we can all agree on, whether we agree on DEI or queer fabulousness or the excellence that we provide the planet or not, whether we agree on that or not, one thing we all agree on as realtors is we're advocates for people. And we are all involved in the lives of people. And I think that it's real hard to not be able to look around, read the room, and sense that this is a very pivotal time in American history. It's not even history. It's her story. It's your story. It's all of our story right now. And it's happening. And it's so important for us to be involved and engaged and not complacent. We do not have the time and the place. We can try that stuff in 2025, maybe 2026. I don't know. It's just not now. Right now, it's all boots on the ground. It's everybody engaged. It's people actively involving themselves in improving and strengthening their communities. That's our story.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to say, one of the things that's worked sort of as a repellent for me of others that, I've been told many times in leadership roles that people have been concerned that I'm too much of a diplomat. And when people get to know me, they understand that it's more that I'm strategic. I try to be strategic, right? And Julie Nelson actually taught me a little bit more about myself and a little bit about this, one of our amazing leaders. And it's, we need different types of people to be different kinds of leaders. And everyone, has a different leadership style. But sometimes you need the people that like burn the bridge down. And then you need people that like have the backpack of tools that are going to build the bridge back. And I like to think of myself as the person, like, I will be there with you. I'm not going to be quiet, and I will say your name behind closed doors. I will sponsor you and make sure that, whether it's high visibility projects or connections or my network or an opportunity to speak or amplify something you said, I will say your name and I will actively be an ally behind closed doors. But often, sometimes, we're all different types of leaders. But what I've noticed is in this industry, there will be people that don't like you. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to be okay with the fact that, without internal discovery, people do not change their own beliefs. So until it's their kid or until it's their cousin or their neighbor that they love or whoever, that they finally go, I need to look at this or whatever it is. I'm not on this earth to change every single heart. So rather than focusing my energy, my focus, my attention into like, oh, these influential people don't like me. It doesn't matter if it's because I'm gay or because I'm just too much or too loud or too whatever. I don't spend too much time trying to figure it out. In fact, I go, I'm so glad that I'm loud enough about who I am, that you see me and you see who I am, and you are not going to waste my time. And that to me is where I'm able to keep more focus, right, on people in the community that really need help growing their businesses and people buying their homes. So,
Yeah.
Jessica, you mentioned being diplomatic and strategic. I identify with that as well. And if we take this conversation even back to the first question about the empowering pride, something that I find myself naturally doing, and it's strategic, yet it's genuine, is in a time like this, June 1st, you saw tons and tons of posts on social media supporting Pride and supporting June, and the parades and everyone belongs, a lot of different messages. And when allies are posting those messages, I'm one of the first to comment and say thank you for your support, because we know that other voices can be a lot louder. And it's easy for someone that this is not who they are, like they're an ally, yet, it's easy for them to be quietened or to go back to what's comfortable when they meet resistance. Yet it's tough enough for our own community. But my point with this is I try to bring that power, that energy of it's okay and thank you and let's keep posting, not just in June, but let's post throughout the year. I mean, let's keep this energy going. So that's a little strategy point apart, and showing up where there's not representation. Like, read the room, be aware of your surroundings, not just your close surroundings, yet on committees, on boards, in networks. Like, where can you strategically place yourself where you might be missing? And that you can add that element of diversity and at the same time potentially bring a kind of humanizing the situation where others go, oh, I like you, Jessica. Oh, Corey, you're a spitfire. You're a ball of fun, like, and then all of a sudden they start forming a different opinion and perspective of what once might have been negative.
Yeah. And I would just add, I thought I have a friend that works here in the DEI industry that after a 30-year career has finally retired, and he posted a big post and he said, I just want to boil everything down to one message. And he said, the only people who think representation isn't important are people who've always been represented. Right.
Wow.
And it couldn't be more profound than that. I keep a notebook of quotes from people like, you would think that I'm quoting Abraham Lincoln and Gandhi, but I have a book full of quotes from people who I interview on the Culture Cast. I've got several quotes and graphics created that Jessica said to me, right? Like about effective allyship and that kind of thing. The thing I want to say about being an LGBTQ plus leader that's really visible is I did a really deep dive when I started doing DEI trainings into how am I going to get people to relate to this message and accept it if they don't agree with me politically. And I thought back to the people in my childhood who were able to touch me deeply. And I thought about Mr. Rogers, and I thought about
is Mr. Rogers gay?
Mr. Rogers is not gay, but he's somebody that he could say anything and I would believe him, because that's a person, when I heard his voice, I believe he loved me, right? And the other person that I thought about, that I landed on, that I stuck on, that I still stick with, who I try to emulate, is LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow. And one of the really powerful things about LeVar Burton is throughout the run of that series, he fought tooth and nail for his ability to be authentically himself through all of it. In every season of Reading Rainbow, he has a different hairstyle and a different hoop earring and a different facial hair set, but he's always himself, and he's authentically Black, and he's authentically himself in a way that nobody could stop him from living his life and keeping continuity, right? So then I took back and I thought, I'm not supposed to be Mr. Rogers, because Mr. Rogers isn't me. I should be emulating LeVar Burton and be me in these things, right? So when we're having a conversation and I'm like, oh, excuse me, sorry, I have ADHD. Then somebody out there is listening and they go, oh, I have ADHD. Now I can relate to him more, So that's just a piece that I took.
That's really neat. Actually, I probably should steal some pages from all your playbooks, because unfortunately I'm usually the one going like burning the bridge down, and then like, oh, I probably could have done a better job at that. But anyway, hey, well, Cody, actually, that's actually a great question for you. How would you create platforms for LGBTQ plus individuals to share their stories and experience within the organization and community, to maybe someone out there can reach out to somebody who'd be like, oh yeah, I am like them, and this can help me?
Yeah, I talked about with my nonprofit, we're doing spotlight posts. And what that really is this 2-word concept that I use to the nth degree. And I think everybody here is great at it, and they might not just know what it's called, but it's called signal boosting, right? When I hear somebody say something that affects me and changes the way I think about something, I immediately go to social media and post it. Look what I heard today, right? I want everybody to know about these voices that I hear. And I think signal boosting is so, so important. And I also think that it's important, as we signal boost, to take a look at what you have posted, the people that you have signal boosted their words, and make sure that you're representing a pretty wide swath of people. And that's a way to uncover your own unconscious bias. If I were to take a look back at my notebook of all of the people who I've written down quotes from so that I can save them for a rainy day and come back to them later, if I look at all those quotes and all of them are white women, I have a problem. I need more people in my circle who are different, right? I need Black trans people in my circle. I need South Asian people in my circle. I need people who come from poverty in my circle, right? That's a really, really, I think, an important lesson for us to learn is realize the reach that you have with your voice to give the microphone to someone who ordinarily wouldn't be in the rooms that you're capable of being in.
Wow, that's really powerful. Anyone else have anything on the same topic what they've done in their past to try to make a platform for people to share their stories?
Chuck and I are looking at each other. You go, Chuck. Corey, go ahead.
So I don't think that I've actually created a platform, but absolutely boosting someone's signal.
Sure, you have.
I don't know about that, but boosting someone's signal, I think, is really a really organic way to do that. And that is absolutely like how I operate on social media. I don't think all the thoughts. I just like a lot of these certain thoughts, right? And
Corey will be back. We're over to you, Chuck.
I want people to realize that there are certain things that are just super important to hear. You got to hear this, right? That's what it means to boost somebody's signal. And I feel like if I can do that, it can be a really granular way to have a grassroots movement or part of a grassroots movement, because there's certain stories and messages right now that just have to get out there.
So when I speak of a platform, or when I think of a platform, my platform definitely is positivity. And I don't mean that to sound canned, yet at this point, it's been a practice for about 5 years now. So my history and my social media has these posts of up to 5 years. And so every morning over coffee, I look back through my history and I find what's speaking to me today, and I post it as like a new post. And what's interesting there, we start judging our followers. We judge us by our followers. And Cody, just like, you know, when you referenced, if all my quotes are from female Caucasian, you know, then maybe I need to diversify myself just a little bit. And so when you look at the analytics on social media, my following is like 75% female, you know? And so then I'm like, well, why aren't the men following me? You know? And I'm like, okay, does it even matter? Just people are following, not, you know, that's the thing. But what I would say, you know, something that comes naturally to me, that gives me fulfillment, gives me joy, is not only being a voice for others, yet helping others find their voice and become leaders. I know so many of the opportunities I've been given in life was because of a tap on the shoulder, because I doubted myself or I didn't see something within myself. And when I can be that tap on the shoulder for others and really move through life and our industry in that way, like that's going to have an impact. So, you know, although it may not be a marketing type campaign, it's a campaign within itself, and it's identifying those, you know, those future leaders. So that's what I would have to speak to.
I love that, Chuck. I'll just add that some of the things that I've done that I consider brave or hard in life, I do much easier for others than I would for myself. And I think like putting those reps in and, you know, reaching out to those people that you think don't have time for you, or, you know, organize something that is a lot of work or a detractor from what you think you should be focused on, but it fulfills you. Those types of things I've done simply because I want to make an impact on others. And through doing them, I've grown, right? And so doing this work and being part of 1EXP and getting involved with the Alliance and working with you all on projects and initiatives has truly transformed me as a human being, because it's just more fun to do it when it's for the benefit of many others, right, Chuck? Like, but it carries over into your professional and your personal life. When you're fulfilled with what you're doing and you feel like you know that you have purpose and that you're making a difference. And I would say for me, creating a platform is really, it's about inviting. People love to be invited because they feel seen, they feel special. So when I go to an event, and for anyone listening, like I'm sure there's plenty of people that would chime in and say, yeah, she does do that. I reach out and I invite people to join my group. And I remember the first EXP con that I went to, I was there because I was an icon agent and committed to, showing up and building my network. It's one of the reasons why I joined EXP, and I'm so grateful that I did. I didn't have, the dinners to join or the friends to hang out with or the people that I knew or the special mastermind invites, and it was fine because the event itself is great. But what I found through getting involved in 1EXP and so many resource groups is that now I do have my peeps, I get invited. But if you don't have a table where you feel invited, you just quite literally, they say like, make a seat at the table, bring your chair. I say like build the whole freaking table, right? And make sure that you have a big enough room to where you can keep adding, leaves to the table, or a fire pit with chairs. Like it doesn't have to be a table, right? But just create your own group. And so I've really enjoyed that. And I think it's a strategy that anybody can use. It's free. And here's the script, right? It's not about calling someone to say, hey, I'd love to connect. Can you give me 5 minutes? There's something that you've accomplished that I'd like to learn about. It's calling people that have accomplished something or have some type of network or opportunity that you want to get involved in and asking them instead, hey, how can I help you? I love what you're doing. I'd love to be a part of it somehow. What can I offer? Who can I connect you to? And when you come from a place of contribution, even to the people that you think need nothing from you, that's the big one. The people that you think need nothing from you, that's your perception, because they are struggling with something. They wake up with a mountain on top of them of things that they are committed to, that they have to deliver on, and people that they have to inspire and lead and give to every day. So when you wake up and say, hey, nobody really needs me, find someone to help, and your whole life, I get the goosebumps saying it, like that will change your life when you change your own perspective. So.
Geez, that's great. We talk about these great positive things we're doing for everybody here, but I know we have setbacks from time to time, and it's about how we get back on the game personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to start with you. When you're facing a challenging day or God forbid a setback or anything, what strategy you use to bounce back to basically gain motivation for yourself in real estate and also personally? On your mic, Chuck. I know you want to talk.
Oh, well, I didn't hear who you said you were starting with.
I'm sorry, Chuck, I'm starting with you. Sorry.
Okay. I have various recovery strategies or methods. Sometimes when it's just too much, I have to get out in the open space. I may just drive for 2 hours, get outside the city, go hiking. Sometimes it's simply sitting on my front porch. So I've got to get out into nature a lot of times and let it go. More than anything though, is just knowing who my circles are and the trusted circles, and being able to reach out and say, hey, can we have a conversation? Or, man, I need help talking through this. And a lot of times, because we're all busy people here, if we're not busy in work, we're busy in life. And a lot of times it's just, I need rest. I need to not make a decision in that moment. I need rest, wake up thinking with a clear head, a clear perspective, and move from there. I had an incident recently, and we won't go into the details about the incident, yet it was in one of those questioning moments, and it was later in the day. And it was actually while we were in DC at the NAR conference, and someone within my state was having a conversation with me. It had gone on for about 45 minutes, and they were beginning to break me down just a bit. I was starting to cave just a bit, and I could feel it, and I wasn't going to settle for it. And I said, you know what? I said, we've had a great conversation. I'm going to get some rest, and we're going to regroup tomorrow. And when I woke up at 8 o'clock that next morning, my head was clear. I was energized. I was like, what was I even thinking? I'm ready to fight, so to speak. Now let's have the conversation. I'm not going to be caving this morning, So it's just be in tune with what recharges you, For some, it might be escaping with a book and just like my fiance, it's watching sci-fi, which I don't get at all. Like that stresses me out. But that's an escape.
Yeah.
That's an escape for him, like let me travel up into fantasy land. But know yourself and don't be afraid to go to that space. We've got to do it more times than not.
And for me, a lot of times I'm similar to you. If it's to the point I just got to disconnect for a little bit and reset and just either play with the dog for a little bit or do something, or fold laundry for a little bit and then kind of ease back into it. If it isn't that bad, get back that day. If not, it'll be the next morning. But anyway, this is actually a great question for everybody. Corey, what do you do?
To unwind, I'm kind of a gardener. So I keep doing this thing where I keep buying these new houses over the past 10 or 15 years, and they require a lot of landscaping. So I'm the lady that plants the little tiny plant and tries to sing it a song and make it grow. It keeps me busy, and it also makes me money because Curb Appeal sells houses, friends. So I can share that lesson while I'm doing it. No, but truly, it really does kind of ground me, no BS. When you're out there in nature, literally, you guys, I planted all these blooming plants, and there's hummingbirds in my front yard every morning. And so when I'm out there and watering the plants in my little pajama looking clothes with the hummingbirds, nobody can get to me. I don't take the phone out there, right? And so it's a great opportunity to just kind of level set with the world, right? And be like, you know what? That transaction may be collapsing and that seller might be completely angry or whatever, but this hummingbird is having a great day. I think I might be able to also.
Absolutely love it.
That's brilliant. I was just going to say something that was really important for me is learning that it's okay to let go of something. Because I have always been that bulldog that gets something in its mouth and I just won't let it go until I've won. And it's just not worth it sometimes. And the opposite, the other part of that is learning that when you close a door on something, you didn't take the doorknob off. You can open up again later. Right?
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. Actually, let's stick with you. This is a good one for you. In a profession where networking and supporting are crucial, I mean, how would you advise LTQ, I'm always bad with this, LGBTQ plus real estate agents to find their supportive community or tribe within the industry? How would you recommend they can go about doing that?
Such a dynamic question after skipping over my birding fascination.
Sorry. Tell us about it.
I'm just kidding.
We're going to rephrase the question. Is not how do you find your tribe, but how do you find your flock? Okay, we can tie this in. At EXP, it's easy. You join the Pride Network, right? But that might not necessarily be your tribe. If you find another group of people shares your common interests and speak your language better, they are there. We have all these resource groups at EXP. But beyond that, I would also say, I can't tell you how many queer people I've talked to at EXP who found their success in their career by talking to their local LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, right? That's how Ben Laub made his career. That's it. Find the resources in your community that are already touching your community, and then, ride their coattails a little bit until you figure out your own way, right? That's you can find your tribe there. And also, we're partnered with the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance. If you live anywhere near a metro area, you have a chapter. And if you don't have a chapter, you can start one, right? It's a great, easy way to find your tribe. We as queer people, we know that chosen family is super, super important. That's also important in your career, right? I wouldn't have the career I have today if I didn't consider my big sister Jessica part of my family, right? I came in, I would still be sitting as a little staff member, or maybe not, because I wasn't super happy at my first job at EXP, let me be real with you. But I came in and I went into Jess's office and I was like, I want to burn everything down because it's not going my way, right? And she, I'm not trying to give you too many flowers, right? But this is somebody who has mentored
I love flowers for my birds.
But she's somebody that really mentored me and taught me a lot of these lessons and helped me grow and be more myself. Because in my corporate career, I've always felt like I needed to be like the person who was managing me, right? I hid a lot of my candle under a bushel, as you say. You know what I mean? I code switched a lot, and Jessica and Fee and Julie and a lot of people here at this company have shown me that I can be myself, and people will like me more, and I can get farther. Right?
Nailed it. Drop the mic.
Yeah. And, on that note, I just want to thank all you guys for so insightful and valuable contributions today. I mean, your stories and advice are very powerful to help us all empower Pride. It's creating a more inclusive and supportive real estate community, not just for Pride Month, hopefully for everyone throughout the whole year. And, before we sign off here, I just want all you guys to, as we close out this amazing panel, just can you end with a few thoughts on closing comments you'd love to end on, as well as how someone can get in touch with you and follow you guys and all that good stuff. Thanks. Coach, why don't we start with you, Cody?
My advice is simple: 2 words: love yourself. That's all. And if you want to find me, the best way to do it is find the Culture Cast. I've been on this journey of learning about other people's cultures for about a year now. And I've invited everybody in on that conversation. And that's what EXP Culture Cast is. It's EXP's official diversity, equity, and inclusion podcast. And if you just search EXP Culture Cast on YouTube, Spotify, Podbay, Apple Podcasts, or if you listen to KGCI Radio, Real Estate on Air, you can find us and join the conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cody. And Chuck, how about yourself?
Well, I guess my thought, just like Cody said, love yourself and respect yourself. Can be easier said than done. And so at least start the journey. Start with step 1 and find your tribe that loves and respects you. Don't settle. Find those that are going to lift you up, cheer you on. And as far as connecting with me, now I'm going to age myself here. You're going to find me. You'll find me on all the socials, yet the most on Facebook. And if you
kind of thing. Yeah.
Hey, Jessica. Chuck Wells, if you search Chuck Wells, Oklahoma, I am going to pop up, and feel free to reach out. Also the Alliance Network. I do have a profile there, and I'm actually listed under coaching and training as opposed to the realtor category. So look for me there, and yeah, let's connect. I'll be one in your tribe cheering you on.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chuck. And Corey, what do you got for us?
So I think it's great to love yourself, but I think you also have to love your community. And we are not a community if we don't work together. I think it's also important to note that we're not gonna make it through without each other. So we've gotta stick together. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Corey Tabor.
I love that. And I'll close the loop out in terms of definitely be yourself, love yourself, and love your community and support your community, but then also show more of yourself and share more about your community, just to kind of put it all together. And I think the moment that you feel surprised when people engage with you more is the moment you know that it'll be working, and it's not that far away. So I would start today. And the reason why you can search Jessica Nieto on Facebook, I put my Insta handle on here, but the truth is I'm consistent on Facebook every single day I post. I've shared a lot about myself that I thought I would never, ever say out loud regularly on Facebook now. And it's brilliant, the type of people that reach out to me and say, that is exactly what I needed to hear today. Thank you. So it works. And you're just one conversation, one mentor, one call, just one person away from changing your life to be a better place. And for you feeling empowered and inspired to change others. So stay connected. Reach out to Scott Wilson. Scott, you did a great job today. Holly Kitchens, Cameron Cisneros in the background, and all of our amazing volunteers and contributors to the Pride Network and to 1EXP. I just want to thank you all behind the scenes. Check out more of these sessions. And I believe that, with our partnership with the Alliance, there'll be some really great opportunities to win some prizes, such as $200 value memberships on behalf of eXp Realty. So get engaged, and you can find me on Facebook like Chuck.
Amazing, guys. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to meet the ones I haven't met in person, Chuck and Corey, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. I'm very easy to find. I am on Workplace, EXP. I am also a profile on the Alliance. I'm a part of the board here in Orlando, Florida for the Real Estate Alliance, and List Property with Scott on Insta and on the other social media. So once again, everybody, thank you so much. I really appreciate you tuning in for this. And panel, you've been amazing. Thank you so much.